Okay, hi to everyone, and sorry for the late start, but due to connection difficulties happen at times. Okay, I will start with some commentary. There's some noise in the background. Are you getting me?
I hear you fine. You guys hear Charles?
Okay. Okay. It has been noticed that contemporaries are hardly acknowledged or hardly they are hardly sung by the world, and history has evidenced this. Right from ancient times, we know that Jesus, by whom many swear and are ready and prepared to die, was even denied by the Jews as being a false prophet and an impostor. So I want to ask Duane, what do you think about your standing as the new man with a new message for the contemporary world? So, I remind you, I ask this question because acknowledgement by the world of your presence and relevance will go a long way to propagate a wake-up call in which you are engaged. So, Duane, can you make any comment on this?
Okay, Charles, I'm going to try to coordinate what you asked into something here, and that is that, again, what we've gone through in history is interesting. Again, everything is made up. This is creation. We make everything up. You might say nothing's for certain. It's just what we do, etc. And so just presenting what we do that makes sense with this world that really doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that the world is agreeing to its self-destruction and doesn't recognize it at all. There's so much subliminal agreement. And so just to get something across to people in many different ways. So this is where, a step at a time, it multiplies. Also with those people, there's many people out there that know about this. And they're reading, they like what they read, etc., but they're still afraid. They're still agreeing with the system to be afraid, to not step up, because life on this planet is struggling survival. And you have to struggle to survive, and then, try to figure out why you're even here. Most people don't know why they're here. Most people don't have a purpose. They may have a job, they may have a career, but that's not a purpose. They're struggling to survive. And that's very real. So it gets to be more real all the time. And as I write to groups and what I see and try to cover so many angles to allow people, but the bottom line is people have to step up. They have to take the courage. They have to make sense of what's going on in this world, not just pretend that if they vote for some politician that says pretty words up there to deceive people, that things are going to be fine. Well, it really doesn't work like that. And again, in the last 300 years, what is the transition that has taken place just in the United States here, which has affected the world, okay, because it's been set up like that by those that really rule and control the world on this surface world, okay? But they do not necessarily, they have a big control on the real side too, and the unconscious, yes, but there are things taking place to offset that, but again, needs agreement. So things are only going to happen accordingly, and because there's huge agreement with what is going on in the world. That's why it's all going on. The planes in the sky, the chemtrail planes, the DEW, the laser weapon planes, the HARP, the GMO food, the vaccines, just everything is because people keep agreeing to it. There are some people that are stepping up, and it's not about protesting. It's not about taking what the governments have created and trying to wang it this way and that way. That's not it either. You're just, in a way, when you protest, even in the Constitution, it says the people have the right to grievances to the government. Well, that's all set up. That's a setup. You're just agreeing with what they've decided and all these funny words and ideas that they've created. Yeah, that's political stuff. And so I utilize these things. I use the system, but created a whole new position here that's unique all itself, the new presentation. And yes, it takes courage to step up. Otherwise, you're the effect. And so again, you can't just jump on the bandwagon and think someone's going to carry you. You can't do that. And that's one of the experiences that Kevin talked about last week, trying to carry somebody. Yeah, we give people a hand, but we can't live their life, and we can't decide for them, and we can't figure it out for them. This is where the real recognition comes in. And it's a challenge, but it's the best challenge of your life to do it, to figure it out every single moment, because this is how life is. Again, there's no la la land here, and people chase ideas that are marketed to them that are distracting and deceptive. Yes, and destructive. Yeah, all of that, but they don't see it, and they keep agreeing with it. And little by little, things get worse and worse, but actually in a big way, worse and worse every day. Everybody's driving their cars or whatever. So, you talk about a message or whatever, it's more of a statement of what is taking place. And again, number one is supporting the natural environment, and it will support you figuring this out, what this means, and stepping up, and it's in the doing. And so, yes, we do the Zoom, we do the Facebooks and things like this, but it's actually going out and facing everything. I was out in the public when I started with Paul in 1970. I was out there for 30 years in the public, and when I took the Rod of Power in 2001, etc. Always facing it, facing this world here, not pretending, not hiding. Plus, I had my own business, etc. I did everything. I figured it out. I figured all this to this point here. Yes, it's stepping up and figuring it out. Who will do that? Each person doing it. I know many people look to what I'm creating and writing. Yes, that's the first step. But at the same time, standing real in your own position and recognizing this isness and joining in and doing something realistically too. And so this is happening all over the world. But yeah, again, many people, their personal life is very, very important to them. That comes first. Yes, you have to survive, but realistically, that's only going to work so long. And so, yes, for people to, really recognize what's going on, each person, just like when Paul was here, he produced certain things. And when the Secret Knowledge of Dreams came out, I immediately took that, created classes in the colleges at Orange Coast College, and did that for years. All I did was pound the beat with that, and went out to libraries and banks had community rooms, etc. I pounded the beat all the time, did fairs, everything. Did it by myself, and put flyers through all through this town many times, every business. Created the flyers. This is the old days where I had to take them to a printer. I couldn't print them myself, didn't have computers. I had to paste the stuff and etc. Did all that footwork, faced it all. And this is how real it is. It's just not some thought form where you see something on Facebook and it's like, oh, I like that, I like their pictures, etc. But no, it's where it becomes your whole life. Otherwise, you just stay in the personal self. And when the surprises come of this world and things happen and you get too old and feeble to move around, well, all of a sudden you got to deal with it, thinking that, you can just walk to the doctor and they're going to fix you. Well, they're not. They're going to fix you all right. You're going to be worse off. So, yeah, getting something out to this world to where people understand it, it takes a lot of creativity. It takes a lot of facing it. And it's very, very real. It's more real than you can even imagine. And this creation, this personal self we have here, oh, it is such a secondary thing. Eventually, you can get to the point where, you know what, you don't need it anymore. You know, it's like a little tricycle. That's what the little self is. It's like riding a little tricycle. You're really kind of going nowhere until you really start to recognize your real awareness. If you want to call it a message, there's the message. Learn to recognize your real awareness, then learn to recognize the all is. Otherwise, you're lost in the personal self, and doesn't matter how good you feel about yourself and all that. That's fine. That's part of it, but that's the personal self. Your real awareness is more like the sun shining. It's very real, and it sees everything. So it's learning to stand real with that. And that's what the boys do as they help us along. So yes, Charles, it's a heck of a challenge. And who will step up? Who will make it real every moment of the day? I focus on this all the time. This is my life. I do everything I can. And been here with Ava over 6 years, every single day, just providing this to make sure that people can step up and that they have something. And also the bigger picture, the surprise, the galactic surprise, etc., that's coming. Working on that on the real side. Had to decide that. Nobody decided it for me. Decided everything so that it comes into fruition, and who will step up and be part of that. So there's a bigger picture here, because all creation is imploding. Very real. And so, yes, Charles, to get something out there that makes sense and that people understand, oh, it's a toughie. Yes, you know it yourself. Also, I have a question too. Has anybody heard from Mariam?
Yeah, Mariam, we communicated today, and Mariam is still in the doldrums. I don't know when she will feel confident to step up again, but as it stands at this moment, Mariam is in some kind of slumber. Yeah.
There's Charles. There's people there's some Africans on Facebook sharing some stuff. I don't always know who they are. Actually, I just had a call from an African today on Skype. All of a sudden, he was calling me on Skype. I answered, but he speaks French, and so he doesn't speak English. But he called. I saw him on camera, and I simply wrote in the chat that, talk to Charles. So there are people out there struggling. I'm not sure who they are, who the Africans are, etc. I don't know what you've set up to communicate with these people, and I know it's not easy, but I don't, as they come to us, we do whatever we can. But Africa's a particular. I'm not familiar with all that, and plus we don't speak French. We can translate certain things, but this is where your help and Mariam is needed. So I would say that, okay, so she's going through her stuff, but inspire her to still get going, because there are people out there. Otherwise, they just kind of disappear. And it's sad to see that, because, yeah, that's why we're here. We are here to wake each other up. That's why we're here. This is the whole of life, to wake each other up. And that's very real. How are we going to do that? How are we going to figure it out? So that's the reality that life is. Finally figured it out that far. So this is what we're doing here. That's why you're here. And that's the purpose. And then the real purpose is to recognize it and stand real with it. But that's a big step. But at least to have a purpose, and that purpose, why you came here, is to wake yourself up and to wake up others, because this is how we get out of here.
Yeah, Duane, I'm sure the guy who called you was Joseph Mukuna. And he's been trying to call me. He's been trying to call me too. Maybe he wants to get on the Skype. I first told him it was the Zoom meeting, and now Zoom is not working. I don't know. And so, as you said, there are Africans there, friends who need to be taken care of, especially with the language barrier. Things need to be made clear to them, and I think I'm trying the best I can to do that. And I'm happy that most new friends, those who are active now, who are there, following up, participating in the groups and sharing things. Most of them have understood exactly why they are there, why they are why they are with us, and you will find that the questions of about the personal life and the personal self are really diminishing, or for the moment non-existent, because they have understood that they can only get for themselves what they can do for themselves. So it's something, it's a, I call it a kind of breakthrough. Yeah, and I'm happy with the spirit now and the vigor which they're pursuing what we are doing. So it's whenever Mariam would resurface fully, because now she's on kind of a bit withdrawn. When she will resurface, she will find that things are fine. And I don't think we're going to have some new friends fall behind again. Even those that are not what we call active in quotes, they know exactly what the new presentation and the worldwide educators are propagating, and they are in tune, in line with, in spite of their personal problems. So if I find that questions about the personal life and how to get on with this life, they are not forthcoming again. So it's something that makes me particularly happy, because some of the questions used to really be boring. There are many that just refuse to transmit, because the same thing, just admonished. I just try to reply at my level, and many understood. So that's a good sign.